Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the NWR Virtual Healthcare Day for November 2021. My name is Finn Blake, and I will be your host for today. Up next this morning, we have Radiopharm Theranostics. Radiopharm is focused on the development of radiopharmaceutical products for the diagnostic and therapeutic uses in high areas of unmet medical need. The company has a highly prospective portfolio of 4 distinct and clearly differentiated platform technologies, with numerous trials at phase 2 and phase 1 stage already ongoing. Radiopharm has just raised $50 million as part of its IPO to list on the ASX, which is set for tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This morning presenting will be Paul Hopper, the founder. Paul is a very well-regarded figure of Australian biotech, and many know him for his success across immunogen, viralytics, chimeric therapeutics, and more. Joining Paul will be the chairman, Riccardo Canaveri, who is the CEO. Riccardo recently joined as CEO and managing director after working with Novartis company Advanced Accelerator Applications as its chief commercial officer. If anyone has any questions that they'd like to submit for after the presentation, please do click the Q&A panel on your screen. I'd love to now hand it over to Paul.
Thank you very much, Finn, and thank you everyone for listening in today. I'll just give you a little bit of background to how the company got started before, and a little bit about the highlights as I see it, before handing over to Riccardo to do the presentation. So I first became aware of the activity in this sector about 3 years ago when Telix was floated by Chris Behrenbach. I know Chris, and I was fascinated to what was going on there. And then in 2018, Novartis, the pharma giant, weighed in and bought Advanced Accelerator, which is Riccardo's former company, and then they paid about $3 billion for that. And then shortly after that year, they bought Endocyte for $2 billion. So it was really something happening. And I spent the next year or two looking at the sector in detail and came to the decision to put the company together that you see here today. Finn's alluded to the management being Riccardo and Advanced Accelerator. Advanced Accelerator was the most successful independent radiopharmaceutical company. And for me to be able to lure him out of the role as chief commercial officer that was there was quite a coup. He wasn't looking for a job. The other person I would draw attention to is Professor David Mosley, who's our chief medical officer. David was professor of nuclear medicine at Cornell University. He was a tenured professor there, and he in fact quit that job and joined me before I'd even raised any money. We looked at about 32 assets. For us, they had to be, the majority of them had to be in clinical trials. They had to come from a good home. So we've got assets from Imperial College in London, Memorial Sloan Kettering. So 3 out of the 4 assets are already in humans, and we've had about 130 people dosed. So there are very, very few ASX biotechs with a clinical pipeline as deep as ours. As some of you might know from my other companies, such as Imaging and Chimeric, I do like to have a portfolio approach. I like to have more than one shot on goal because, in my opinion, single technology companies are dangerous in biotech because if the drug doesn't do what you want it to do in the clinic, it can be binary. So this company is not a one-trick pony. We've got quite a bit of risk mitigation in here. With such a rich pipeline, there'll be lots of news flow in 2022, and we look forward to keeping the shareholders updated. As from tomorrow, there will be 3 radiopharm companies listed on the ASX. We are not Telix yet, the $1.5 billion leader, but we are aiming for that success too. We've got a fantastic team, including Riccardo, as I mentioned, from Advanced Accelerator, and David Mosley, our CMO from Cornell. We've got 4 distinct and novel technology platforms, one of the deepest clinical trial programs in phase 1 and phase 2 trials on the ASX, and we have a very healthy bank balance to take us there. So I'll hand over to Riccardo now. Before I do, I just want to thank those of you who supported us in the $20 million convertible note and now the $50 million IPO. We don't take the support for granted, so thank you. Riccardo, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Paul, for the kind words and for the introduction. Of course, we are excited to be here. We are about 25 hours to the IPO is a very important milestone for the company to move from private to public. So a lot of positive adrenaline in the management team. Here our disclaimer. You are familiar with radiopharmaceutical. What I like to share that is a very intuitive way to understand how they works. They see where the cancer cells are through imaging, and then you go directly with targeted therapy to treat this cancer cell. What is unique, I believe, also in our pipeline, that we have peptide and monoclonal antibody able to specifically bind the tumor cells. This is important because we expect that the results will be very strong and effective on the tumor cells, while at the same time leaving almost untouched the healthy tissue. And our capability will really be to switch isotope from imaging isotope, low energy, to high energy isotope to treat multiple tumor types. What's unique about Radiopharm Theranostics, already mentioned by Paul, portfolio, highly prospective, clinical and preclinical stage asset, both in imaging and therapeutic. We are not only a preclinical company, on the opposite, we already have more than 133 patient doses with our products. The clinical program is advanced with 5 phase 2 trial, 2 phase 1, and 7 preclinical, for a total of 14 programs ongoing. I can also share my view that this is one of the deepest clinical pipeline on the ASX, and one of the deepest radiopharmaceutical pipeline in the industry. We were able to secure commercially attractive license agreement. We obviously check the IP of our portfolio that is broad and robust. Thank you to Paul and to the board of directors in securing a management team with experience and knowledge in specialty pharma, in oncology, and of course in radiopharmaceutical, both public company and academia. One aspect that is important, supply chain and manufacturing in this area are critical, and we have also the expertise in the management team and in the board of the directors. We mentioned before, tomorrow we are going to be public, and thanks to the broad pipeline that we have, we expect significant news flow to come to the market on a weekly and monthly basis in the month to come. More close to the company pipeline, we have 4 distinct and well-differentiated platforms. The first one is Pivalate. Pivalate is a small molecule. We are developing it for brain cancer and for kidney cancer. This is our most advanced platform at the moment. The second pillar of our pipeline is NANO-MABS. These are multi-products family of assets. The most advanced are targeting HER2 breast cancer and PD-L1 lung cancer. The third pillar is INTEGRIN, is an alpha beta beta 6. INTEGRIN, we see a strong potential in pancreatic cancer and head and neck. And last but not least is PSA-mAb, is our monoclonal antibody targeting prostate. So if you put together the disease area in oncology that we target with our pipeline, we are going between 7 and 10 disease areas with high prevalence and strong unmet medical need. So we are very proud of our pipeline of assets. Going a little more deeper, the Pivalate is the most advanced asset we have in development with multiple phase 2 and 49 patients already dosed across different geographies. NANO-MABS, 74 patients already dosed. I mentioned before, the first two are for HER2 breast cancer and PD-L1 lung cancer. You might be familiar with PD-L1, is the so-called checkpoint inhibitor, very successful class of therapeutic for multiple disease. So it's great for us to be in this space. And also we have a third asset here that is a TROP2 inhibitor. Only a couple of years ago, Gilead decided to buy Immunomedics for $21 billion to have access to their TROP2 inhibitor. And very recently, AstraZeneca and Daiichi Sankyo concluded a deal for $7 billion, again, for their TROP2 inhibitor. So for us, having a radiopharmaceutical targeting TROP2 seems very interesting and promising. We'll definitely develop this asset with a lot of focus. The INTEGRIN, this product has been awarded by the European Journal of Nuclear Medicine very recently with the Image of the Month. Is a particular recognition for asset of radiopharmaceutical that distinguish themselves in the ability to image cancer cells in a very clear way. And in this specific case, it was done in pancreatic cancer. That is one of the areas with the highest unmet medical need in oncology. So important recognition, external recognition for our INTEGRIN asset. And last one is the PSA-mAb for prostate. We were able to secure a second generation of this family of assets. The first generation was acquired a couple of years ago from Johnson & Johnson through the Janssen Pharmaceutical Division for about $100 million. And we were able to secure the second generation. So also we are very excited to have this asset in our pipeline. Putting all together what I was trying to describe until now, this is our pipeline. That's why we were not shy in saying that this is probably the deepest pipeline among radiopharmaceutical that you can see currently available. 5 phase 2, 2 phase 1, 7 preclinical program. And I would say that what is even more important, and Paul mentioned before, the very conscious selection of those assets. We decided to go only looking at molecules with the potential to be either first to market or best in class. We didn't look for any Me Too products. We really went for a strong innovation and high potential. The team mentioned already, again, very happy and proud to be here. I really took the opportunity to join Paul. Really impressed by his background, his past successes in the field, and the pipeline as well. The possibility to put together such an incredible pipeline. My previous experience was in Novartis in the AAA radiopharmaceutical division as chief commercial officer, and previously I was global head of the oncology division. Professor Mosley, a great experience, professor of Cornell, professor of nuclear medicine, but also with experience in the industry. He has multiple publications, more than 100 publications and more than 100 clinical trials in his experience. And with the support of Dr. Tom Tulip, we also cover very well the supply chain, the tech ops operations that are so important in this field. So very happy and proud to have this team and working together with them. The space is very fluid at the moment, a lot of investment in radiopharmaceutical. Recent IPO were able to attract important capital, not only in Australia, in US and in Europe as well. And for sure, very interesting is the focus of large pharma to enter the radiopharmaceutical area. I was in Novartis when we decided to acquire AAA for 3.9 billion, and less than a year after to acquire Endosign for 2.1. $6 billion investment to enter in this space, of course, was very properly thought and was assessed the potential of this class. Not only Novartis, but also Bracco, Bayer, and other companies are entering the space. Of course, there are still a large number of important oncology players that are not yet in the space. Pfizer is not in the space, Bristol Myers Squibb, Roche, and we can continue, are not yet in radiopharmaceutical. My personal view that these companies are just waiting the right time to enter through selected acquisition, because the pillar of radiopharmaceutical is an emerging one together with other very innovative way to treat cancer. So they definitely are interested in the space. As a summary of Radiopharm Theranostics, I just mentioned the radiopharmaceutical market has very high potential and interesting. Our pipeline is balanced with multiple products across small molecule, peptide, small monoclonal antibody, and larger monoclonal antibody. We also plan to combine our asset with multiple type of isotope and not focusing on one single isotope family. More than 130 patients has been dosed. Until now, the team has the expertise to bring the development plan forward with speed and quality. We plan to keep the market informed with all the information coming from our broad pipeline and development plans. The IP portfolio is robust. One important element, one of the assets we bought, the NANO-MABS, allowed us to have a strong network in China. Multiple patients has been treated at the Shanghai General Hospital, and this is allowing us to have a strong network among academics, but in general in the radiopharmaceutical in China. And in addition, of course, we maintain opportunistic business development strategy. And with this, I thank you for listening and for your time and for being present with us. And we are open for any question you have.
Thanks so much, Ricardo, and thank you as well, Paul. Great presentation. We'll jump straight into Q&A. If there are any questions from the floor, please do chuck them in the Q&A panel on your screen. The first one for you is, what sort of news flow are you expecting to come through once you start trading on the ASX?
I can take this, Paul. Well, everything comes from our clinical development program. We have multiple ongoing clinical trials, and we want to keep the market updated on the milestone. Even more important, within the radiopharmaceutical space, our focus are the therapeutics. So the therapeutics are really where we focus, where we see most of the value. And for this reason, we are accelerating a number of therapeutic IND, that means application to the FDA for our program, as well as in Europe. So 2022 will be definitely a year of strong interaction with the health authorities to submit our plan and to start recruitment of patients with our therapeutic assets.
Amazing. Paul, probably one for you. What is the typical time frame to commercialize and get approvals for radiopharmaceuticals technologies?
Yes, they're probably slightly shorter than therapeutic oncology drugs. The question is whether we would actually take all of these through to a phase 3 and then apply for an approval. That's something we'll have to consider. But I guess the traditional path for a biotech, small biotech, has been to produce good signals of efficacy in phase 2 and then be taken out by big pharma. But as a general rule, they are slightly shorter development timetables than therapeutic drugs.
Beautiful. We've probably got time for one more, which is on my end. What's the main reason you're both confident in the radiopharm business as we approach the new year?
Yes, I can start. Well, the evidence of data is very clear nowadays. In the recent Congress at ASCO in June, one milestone for sure is the VISION trial. Is a trial that was done by AAA, the company where I was, where they were able to show that a radiopharmaceutical can deliver an overall survival and progression-free survival in a statistically significant way in patients with prostate cancer. And this is considered a game changer, a milestone from all the oncologists that were present at ASCO. This is a confirmation that the mechanism of action of radiopharmaceutical works. Now the importance is to have the right peptide, the right monoclonal antibody, and target the right pathway. But we have a strong proof of concept now, and that's why there is so much excitement, because it's not anymore about potential scientific information and roles of radiopharmaceutical. Now there are data that prove.
Awesome. There is actually probably one more. From the news, RAD attracts China investment. Is there any China strategy being considered by RAD?
Well, a specific strategy to move into China. Well, as Ricardo mentioned, we've already had 2 large clinical trials being conducted in Shanghai General. And in fact, the original camelid herd from which the nanobodies were derived were also based in China. But one of our scientific advisory board members, Dr. Ting, is very well connected to China. So certainly China is on the horizon. And as you probably know, a large Chinese company has taken positions in Telix as well as Clarity. So if we want to move into China, I think we're very well positioned.
Beautiful. We're out of time. Paul and Ricardo, thank you so much for your time today. Very excited to watch the story that Radiopharm will ensue, and good luck with the IPO.
Thank you very much.